Oh, here we go. This is a good one. How much of an advantage does paying cash for a home help? Heidi, why don't you start with that one? How would you respond to that?
Well, I think a cash offer is always a competitive offer. And if there's similar offers that are cash and financed, I mean, usually the seller is going to go with the cash offer because there's just not the, one less contingency with the financing. With cash, you can close faster. You don't have to worry about an appraisal. Um, what I'm seeing right now is, I mean, even with financed offers, buyers are pretty much being asked to waive an appraisal contingency these days. But yeah, cash is always better, but don't expect to get a huge discount just because you're paying cash. I mean, you're still going to have to be up there in a competitive price, close to whatever the other offers are.
So it's an advantage, but it's not the killer advantage. Scott or Dylan, is there anything you guys want to add to that, to what Heidi's already said?
Well, just to go back to the question, less than 5% of the Big Island is zoned for any type of development or really buying. The rest of it's federal and state land, Kamehameha schools land, large, significant landholders on the island. So it's very, very limited supply. And I'm not seeing a $34 million listing on the Big Island. So I'm not sure where you're seeing that at, but hit me up and we could follow up on that.
Yeah, hit us up, Spencer. He said it's near the Four Seasons it was sold. So that would give you an idea of that's why
it was probably, developable luxury land that you could develop into, they sell those lots off for $3 to $5 million and then build a $10 million house on it. So it's probably a great deal for whoever's going to go and pursue that project.
It's going to be an amazing project. That's for darn sure. Anybody want to add to the Scott? Is there anything you want to add about the cash advantage that Heidi hasn't already mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, in this market, there's some. I put this property on the market in Lower Makakilo for $825,000. We had 15 offers, and we're in escrow at $950. If you're not competitive on the price, it doesn't matter if you're cash or financing in this market, because I have all these strategies that I'm using right now to make my financing people just as competitive as cash. So there's enough people in the market that if you're not competitive on price, it won't matter if you're cash or if you're doing financing. Would you prefer to do cash? Yep, for all the reasons that Heidi just said about the financing component, adding extra contingencies and stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're not competitive on price, forget it. Doesn't matter if you got a briefcase of cash.
Yeah, that's well said. Go ahead, Dylan.
One thing to consider with that, and one is definitely, I get the cash buyer that wants to try and get a deal. Can we get it at list or lower? And I'm like, no, because somebody is gonna go over list price with financing, and if they're strong finance, and that's one of the things to think about with financing is what's important is to understand and look at, and I tell sellers this, what the financing looks like. Because if you're putting 50% down and you're only required to have 20% down per your loan program, you basically have a 30% appraisal gap built in, right? So we don't really care about the appraised value at that point. You can waive the appraisal because we know that you have plenty of cash to cover any shortfall in an appraisal. If you're doing 10% down and that's what's required of your loan program and you don't have any more savings, then you don't have the ability to make up any difference in appraisal. So you're in a weaker position. So not all financing is created equal is the short story. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that with cash, you're going to beat everybody out. You're not going to beat all financing out with cash, because if it's financed if it's a strong financed offer that has plenty of down payment room to cover a gap in the appraisal, they're going to beat you on price, like Scott said. Price is what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's and from what I learned from you guys, it's you folks, it's not just price; it's the cash that the seller puts in their pocket when everything is done. That's at the end of the day, which is what the real price is. So Norman's going to help.
And the reality is, appraisals aren't that bad. I mean, we're getting them onesie twosies that come in low, but I mean, we're not having these rash of extremely low appraisals. So if you're counting on an appraisal coming in low and renegotiating, it's just not happening that often right now.
Yeah, we are in a different world.